Well, hi there, I'm Anne and I'm the default cook in my house as well as a few corners of the internet. And today we are making Valentine's Rice Krispie Treats. What makes them Valentine's? Not a lot, to be honest, because we're keeping it real simple. Red food coloring, which is gonna be pink food coloring when we put it in white marshmallows. And then just some white and red chocolate candies for a topping. You can go a little more in detail with the decor if you want. You can do sprinkles, you can do some red or white candy melts and sprinkle those across the top. But today I thought we would just keep it real simple and really limit our topping to just one thing for our own ease and a little food coloring to actually dye the dish and make it pink for Valentine's. These specific candies are just from a tube. This was a 1.7 ounce tube, which is about a quarter cup of candies, as you can see there. But toppings are definitely a measure with your heart, so buy whatever you want for your toppings. Ingredient-wise on the actual Rice Krispies, we're gonna need 6 cups of Rice Krispies treats, or Rice Krispies cereal. It doesn't have to be Rice Krispie brand. You can use whatever you want. Just make sure that it's reasonably fresh. Same with the marshmallows. We're gonna need 10 ounces of marshmallows. They can be the Jet Puff, they can be the store brand, but you wanna make sure that they are fresh, that they are squishy marshmallows, okay? If they are stale, they're not gonna set up right. I've made that mistake before. Half a cup of butter, 8 tablespoons stick. This is half a teaspoon of vanilla that I went ahead and measured out. Food coloring, it's gonna depend on how powerful your food coloring is. We'll count some drops, but it's gonna be, to the color that you're happy with. But about probably 10 drops or so, maybe 15. Again, depends on your food coloring. And then I'm using a quarter cup of candies on top. So let's get started. And equipment-wise, we're going to need a bowl that is big enough for stirring. This is the largest clear bowl I own. Once I get stirring, I might wish it was just a little bit bigger, but I wanted you guys to be able to see everything that's happening, and I'm not going to be able to do overhead because, well, I can't hold that and do this. It's too much. So you're going to look at it straight on, and that's why I wanted to make sure I used a clear bowl so that you could see everything. The marshmallows didn't really need to be in a bowl. I don't know. I was getting this one out and I got a second one out. I don't always do extra bowls. Usually I don't actually, especially because it's one container of marshmallows. They sell them as 10 ounces, at least for now. We are also going to need a pot. And then we're going to need a container for our finished treats. One thing that we are going to need to do is grease this container. I am going to use the wrapper from the butter once I put this in there and use the wrapper of the butter to grease this. And when we're gonna hold on to it too, so that we can use that to pat things down gently. Otherwise, we're gonna wanna use parchment paper for that, but we're using a whole stick of butter, might as well use the wrapper. But if you buy your butter in the 1 pound bricks, I did that once on accident at Costco. Then you can grease this just with a spray, like a little spritz of olive oil or something. We just want them to release easily from the pan, so you do want to grease this pan. And I'm also gonna get out a spatula. So this is nice and buttery, and I'm just gonna rub this around on the pan. I'm going to set it to the side because I'm going to use it again at the end. So don't throw it away just yet. Turn on our pan to heat up our butter. And once our butter is melted, we will start stirring in our marshmallows and melt those as well. I'm going to go with my old trusty silicone because this one is slightly curved. And so this is going to be a little easier for stirring when we get into it. But any spatula is fine. It'll be okay. And now we just wait for the butter to melt. We're getting close on the butter, so I'm going to take these marshmallows over to the stovetop. I'm also going to bring over my food coloring and vanilla. We're going to put these in when the marshmallows are like half melted or so. Once we're getting close, because we don't want the marshmallows to boil. So we want to add these towards the end, but we also don't want to wait until everything is already combined and then be adding more heat to those marshmallows and cooking them than we need to. So we're just stirring, we're incorporating that butter and those marshmallows together. And it's mostly smooth at this point, but we're seeing still chunks of marshmallows. This is when we want to add in our dye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was 9, 10. We're going to start with that and get to the color we want. And once this is fully incorporated color-wise, we're also going to realistically be fully melted. And then we'll just pour in the vanilla. I'm actually going to turn this all the way to low and then set you back. And by the way, I was always on a medium-low heat. My numbers go low, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, high. So it's realistically 7, and I was on like 2 to 3. More fully melted. So I'm going to turn the heat off now and add the vanilla. Stir that in. And the vanilla really just gives it that little extra oomph. And now, ooh, this is probably going to spin. I should probably put this on a pot holder just so that it doesn't spin so much. Now we are just going to slowly drizzle while stirring. That way we don't end up with a giant clump of marshmallow. Towards the end, you may need to get the spatula in here to get kind of the last of it. And again, this cereal and just it being at room temperature is going to cool this marshmallow mix down. Not so quickly that it won't still scald you, so make sure you're not sticking your hands in here. But enough that the marshmallow mixture will start to kind of set up a little bit. So we want to do this very quickly. This is a part where we're working quick. And we're not pressing the cereal down. We'll get to where we're pressing it into a form, but if you press it too much, it'll get dense and kind of tough. So we want these to be kind of light and airy. Once everything is well incorporated, we're just going to transfer it to our greased dish. And don't worry about it being exactly perfect. We're gonna figure it out as we spread it out. But try and spread it reasonably, like, we don't want it all on one side of the pan. We're not going for perfect off the bat, but it'll make spreading it out a little bit easier if we get it kind of even. Now we can kind of take our spatula and smooth it out a little bit. This is a 9x13 pan. This would fit, I believe, in an 8x8, but it'll take it like to the top. So if you want like nice tall treats, you can use a smaller pan. And we're gonna grab our butter, our butter wrapper. And don't worry, my hands are clean too. I forgot to say that, but wash your hands before you start. And we're just gonna kind of smooth it out. We're not pressing down. We're just kind of smoothing it out and pushing any little like things that are on top where they're sticking out a lot. We're just kind of like finding a little finding a little notch to stick those in. And again, if you accidentally tossed your butter wrapper or we're working from a large stick of butter, or maybe homemade butter, maybe you're fancy, you can grease some parchment paper and use that instead. That's basically what this is pre-greased parchment. So we're just gonna kind of smooth across, but again, I'm not putting pressure on this. I'm just kind of smoothing. And then we just take our candies and we're gonna sprinkle like half of them. And then the last few we'll kind of do like, okay, where are we missing some white? Right over here, where didn't really get any, and we can kind of finagle them out that way. Maybe I will grab some sprinkles. No, it's okay. It's okay. So in these, I am pressing in ever so slightly. And again, not everywhere, just where we're putting in these little chocolate candies. Sorry, I had to blow my nose there and then wash my hands. We're going to let this sit for about an hour. We want this to come down to room temperature. We want this marshmallow mixture to set up so that when we cut into it, it's not all sticking to the knife like crazy. Now you can use a little oil or butter on a knife to make it stick less, but once they're set, usually it doesn't stick too badly. So that's just a tip. If you're finding that your knife sticks a little bit, you can butter or oil it, and that should help you out there. But if your knife's not sticking, you don't need to do it. Oh, another important thing while you're waiting for these to be cool enough to cut through easily. They're cool enough to cut through now. They're not cool enough to cut through easily yet. It's very important that you lick the spoon and get any last little bits that were in the bowl. And these are kitchen tacks, so enjoy them. You earned it. And here we are. I'm not gonna do a full 90 because I did grease the pan. I don't want them to fall out, but those are our treats, and we can cut them into whatever sizes we like. I usually do 12, 3 this way and 4 this way for this size pan. If it was a smaller pan, a 3x3 would be like really big, like commercially looking, like that's not the right word. Like something you would get at a store that sells like treats, like a little bakery shop type thing. And then that would only make 9 because they would be bigger and like really luxurious looking. But we're going to do 12 in this size pan today. And I did not grease this knife. Again, if we wait for everything to cool down, it should go through pretty quickly. But if you need, you can grease it with a little butter. Probably not this because this has marshmallow on it now. I need to throw that away. Now we're going to do 4, so I'm going to cut this in half. And then each half in half. And I might move things around. Like I have 2 that didn't end up with any white candies, so there weren't a lot of white candies apparently. The batch of candies I had was predominantly red apparently. So just moved it so that each square has 1 white. For that like bakery style, that's the word I was looking for, bakery style. I would probably use more toppings too, but these are just for our family, maybe some of my kids' teachers, because my Christmas Rice Krispie Treats, which are very similar, just green and different colored toppings, were the top complimented thing in my treat box for them last year. So here, this one's missing. I know they like them a lot, so I'll probably do a batch for them as well. For Valentine's, And let me just show you the treat. Of course, my camera screen is acting up. So soft and gooey. So much better than the prepackaged, just making them at home. And sorry, it's gross to talk while I eat. So much better than the prepackaged ones that have been on a shelf for months, making them at home, and just gives them a little bit of a holiday flair with just some candy topping and some food coloring. Easy peasy. I hope you and your family love these. And by the way, you are doing a great job. Like and subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.